All right, everybody, let me fire an invite off to Bobby, and then we will get this show on the road. Okay. And text him as well. All right, let me we haven't built lineups yet. I just did a new run of projections though. So I'm going to be looking at this just as honestly, just as you're looking at it, to see if there's any big changes here. I imagine that there are. Let me get Bobby up in here. Hey, what's up, Bobby?
Hey, what's up, man?
So I just redid my projections. I haven't built anything yet. I'm just kind of taking a look to see what's changed. And I guess it looks as though, on DraftKings, these Brooklyn guys are, what did I miss? Oh, because I know Durant's out. Okay, so it looks as though James Johnson, Bruce Brown, Claxton's playing, Claxton even. Looks like all these Brooklyn guys look like they're popping. That's like the new thing. And then I see Precious is out, right?
Precious is out. Yeah. You want me to run through it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Precious is out. I don't think they're going to start Boucher, but I think he would make a good large field tournament play. I do think he's maybe gets a little too much ownership here. He's been pretty much in the doghouse for a long time with Nick Nurse, so be careful. Watanabe and Svi would be the one who actually gets the boost for the 3,700. Paul George is downgraded to questionable, which I'm going to treat as basically being out. I understand he may play, but I'm going to play the Clippers because of it. It's also the last game. So I am going to be getting Clippers in my lineups. I'm only going to be here till 6:30 Eastern because I have a bunch of lineups to build and there's a lot of stuff changing. But I think I'm going to try and just backload the slate like we talked about before with the Brooklyn, Houston stuff. I like that actually as a game stack. You can use guys on the other side of that game as well. I just don't know how they're going to rate value-wise compared to some of these other things. Armani Brooks, Eric Gordon would be their natural run backs. Jashawn Tate is one I like. With the Harden and Johnson and Claxton, I'm basically dividing those guys up. Cam Thomas is somebody we should have some interest in. Patty Mills. And Bruce Brown might seem a little thin, but I actually think that he gets more run tonight maybe than he's being projected for, as so does and Bembry has the upside. So that in that order, that's the way I'm treating those Brooklyn things. And Harden is going to be basically a lock for me and everything.
Okay. That's definitely that's what I was expecting. Harden looks like a really, really difficult fade, to say the least.
I mean, not to mention it's going back to Houston. The truth is, he has no real right to be that upset with them. Like he took all their stuff and then screwed over their franchise after signing an extension in the offseason. So is it going to be like a weird timid Harden? That's the only thing I may be a little bit worried about.
Well, what's kind of interesting is it kind of, I don't want to say flies in the face of it, changes. It's so weird. Like, so it changes our whole concept, right? Of waiting to the later games, right? Because now you got this Brooklyn thing that you really have to.
That's at 8.
That's 8, but it's not like it's at 10, right?
Right. But I mean, every hour, every minute, you know what I mean? It's just, you might hear more information about Paul George by then. Probably not, but you might.
Do you think Paul, in your opinion, do you think Paul George plays?
There's only like 2 players I've ever seen play basketball when they've been downgraded to questionable, and he's not one of them. So That coming up midday is weird. But again, I don't know what it is. Like they don't say, is it COVID? Is it a potential? They said an injury thing, but I don't buy it. I don't know what it is. So the whole situation is sort of high variance, but I think we just go to everybody in that game. And I think you can play Kennard anyway, and he's already showing up as a good play even with Paul George. Marcus Morris would be probably Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson would be the next two guys you'd want to play. And then you'd want to get into some of the man Bledsoe stuff. We also have Batum who's questionable. So I would like to just backload those games. I mean, what I'm going to do is, other than my parts of the Brooklyn game, just make the rest of it parts of the Orlando, Sacramento, Golden State, Portland, and then treat it like that, except for the fact that I will be playing a little bit of both of the Heat guys, Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry. Other than that, it's going to be the later games for me and Houston and Brooklyn. And the Toronto situation. I'm going to take some shots on Boucher, and I'm going to take some shots on Svi. That's where I'm at with that situation. So It's going to be a little bit of a weird day. The Paul George questionable thing, that's a big deal. Like if he's out, that's a really big deal. That's a ton of usage. So Reggie Jackson is, I mean, a great play, but like at the same time, he's got a tough matchup. I would rate Morris ahead of any of these middling guys you'd have earlier, obviously. But Morris and Reggie Jackson with some Kennard, man, and Bledsoe. And if it doesn't work, you can always switch over to some of the guys on Portland who we also have all question marks on too. And if Anthony Simons, Nasir Little, Cody Zeller, and Ben McLemore are all out, so what? So we switch over to Robert Covington if Paul George is in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From some of the other cheap nonsense or whatever. So what if you have to leave it on the table? But I would try and get more guys in these later games if I was everybody else out there. And even in these first games, I don't think I'm playing anyone except for Cade on FanDuel and a little bit on DraftKings in the first wave of games.
Right.
I just think strategically it's the right thing to do. Now, some of those guys are going to have big games, sure. Embiid is a great play, sure. But people see that 79 is going to have give him some ownership. I'll take my shots on the later stuff. And I'm playing a lot of Draymond Green, for example, as a run back in that Portland thing and hoping the game stays close. I want to stack that game up, and I want to play Powell. I want to play Dennis Smith Jr. I want to play Nurkic. And that's where I'm at right now. And I think you're going to get tournament ownership on Dennis Smith Jr., which shouldn't be the case, but it will be because people aren't going to have that unless they backload.
What do you mean by what do you mean tournament ownership? Like
he's going to be under 10%.
Okay.
If unless Simons is out and people backload their lineups, then he'll end up probably 10 to 15%. But because the Paul George thing, I just think it's worth speculating, buying time, play the later games. That's what I'm going to do.
Just for fun, I'm going to do I'm going to do a run here and see what I'm going to get. Do you think I'll get 100% Harden? Probably, right?
I would imagine.
Yeah. What do you think? You think I'll get 100% Powell?
It'll be high. I think Powell is more fadeable, to be honest, than people are treating it. It's not like this is like the highest volume. I mean, he's going to be really high owned.
I'm just talking about just on pure numbers. You know what I mean? I'm not even talking about.
Oh yeah, the numbers I would imagine that he would be showing. Yeah, I would imagine Harden and Powell being nearly 100%.
I like doing this just to see. You know what I mean? Like because and I'm doing it without any fades or anything like that. So I just want to see what other people are going to do. You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna address Ken Bronco. What's up, buddy? In the chat, I don't understand the question. Why would there ever be too many studs in a lineup? He wants to play Curry, Harden, and Embiid. Go ahead and play Curry, Harden, and Embiid. If you can get those guys into the lineup on FanDuel, jump on it if you want to do it. I have no problem with that. There's no such thing as too many studs. If you like your value, would I run back Boston with my Clipper guys? I would run back Tatum. I think they're all viable, to be honest, but I would run back Tatum would be my preferred option on FanDuel because that's what he's asking about. That's what I would do. And I think Schroeder is viable. Too cheap also. So Tatum, Smart, Schroeder, I would consider all those guys. Also, don't count it out that Al Horford doesn't get like a late scratch or something like that tonight. Something weird is going to happen.
You think so?
I just have a feeling. I mean, you never know. He doesn't play some back-to-backs, but he didn't for like 2 years, and then all of a sudden he played like 2 this year. So everybody's going to act like he's playing. I don't know.
You still like Nurkic?
I really do actually.
Yeah.
Especially if Simons is out, like he's gonna have to have the usage, and they don't have anybody to stop him in Golden State. The only problem is Golden State just beats the hell out of everyone every night. So you got to kind of just wing it and then hope it stays close. And if you're gonna play all those guys like I'm doing, then you're gonna want to play a Draymond on the other side in a good matchup for him. You're gonna want to play maybe Jordan Poole or Steph Curry. That's what I would do.
What do you think? And again, if you went over this a little more in detail as I was updating stuff with regard to the Brooklyn guys, what do you think of Bruce Brown?
I think that it depends on whether he's starting or not.
Okay.
That's the way I'm treating that. But I think he's a fine. You could take a flyer there, but they do have bodies, and I would just try and default to whoever they end up starting with tonight. It seems like he could get his spot a little bit back. Bembry's sort of taking his role, but it seems like you could play both those guys if you're Brooklyn now. So I need to see a Brooklyn starting lineup before I totally make a commitment on that one personally.
Yeah, when I run my vanilla optimals, I'm gonna get this is a reflection of what ownership's actually going to be. Like I'm getting 100% Harden. That doesn't mean he's going to be 100% owned. I'm just saying that he's going to be the most popular. And the second most used guy in my lineups is Powell, and then after that is actually Hero.
Yeah, that's fine. We've seen Hero bust in this spot a number of times. I actually a little bit.
Well, I'm not even talking about which is a good player or not. I'm just saying what's.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm actually getting James Johnson a lot. And then I'm getting back to this Ayo Dosunmu guy. So he'll probably get ownership. You know what I mean? He'll probably become pretty popular, I think.
Ayo, and he's in one of the first games too. So I forgot to mention him, but yeah, he's a reasonable value, but I think that you're better off. Like I'm going to have him in a couple lineups, but I think that you're potentially getting better value later on in the day. That's just what I would say.
And tell me again.
Hard to get around.
And tell me again what your opinion on Boucher is. You alluded to it earlier. If
he's like starting, he's a virtual I don't want to say he's a lock, but
no, I get it. We're talking.
If he's not starting and his minutes are not going to be projected, I don't think he's going to project incredibly well. I think he's a really good tournament play. I don't like the situation though. If he gets popular, I'm happy to jump off of it. If he's not popular, I'm happy to jump on it. That's the way I'm treating it.
And this is a totally impossible question. Like if I told you he was, and we're just having fun, If I told you what would be the X amount that would make you like borderline of whether you want to play him, like a big buy. Like what ownership would you think?
It depends on whether he's starting. If he's not starting and he's going to be higher than 15% owned, you want to probably mostly fade. Okay. If he's starting and he's going to be 60% owned, you're still probably going to want to be near that.
Okay.
But you may want to be a little bit under it because there's a bus path there and there's a way you could. I think there's a chance he doesn't barely play at all. Like, to be honest with you, they could play small in this game. They could play Pat Siakam at the 5. They could play Scotty Barnes. The coach said that they're going to try. They might have to play Scotty Barnes at some of the 5 tonight. That's pretty telling.
That's true.
And I want to address, but the thing is about him is he's such a good fantasy point per minute producer. He was projected to play 16 minutes today, even with what's his name with Achua in. So if you're going to count on that, then you could count on probably 20 plus minutes. I really like the play. I just am interested to see what the field ends up doing with it. And I want to address some of the questions. There's some really good ones in chat. Is Claxton good or bad chalk trying to fade? You think I like Claxton? I think he makes sense, but I also think that you can completely switch it over. They're going to need some size to match up with Christian Wood, but James Johnson could be that guy. So if you're not going to play Claxton, I think you probably want one of Claxton or Wood. I don't see them. The only other thing that could throw a wrench in this whole thing is that Paul Millsap gets a bunch of minutes out of the blue. So maybe for your long shot tournaments, you could play Paul Millsap. But I think that's pretty unlikely he plays that many minutes. Now he can definitely produce if he does play. But that's I guess that's my thoughts on
who would start in Bruce Brown's place.
Well, Bruce Brown doesn't have a place. He hasn't been.
No, instead of Bruce Brown, you know what I mean.
Just the only difference would be Claxton as of right now.
Claxton, okay.
It's going to be Harden, Mills, Bembry. Probably James Johnson and Claxton. So maybe James Johnson doesn't start and they start Bruce Brown.
Okay.
Which still leaves me a little bit wishy-washy on Brown. But I do like it. If you start, you kind of have to bless you. You kind of have to take a look there. There's other people asking about, the pieces of the Utah-Minnesota game. I just don't find the need to go as heavy on it as I was going to, but I do want some Anthony Edwards I just don't know who I feel like I'm giving up a lot by trying to get him in there. But his ownership has me tempted. And I don't really think I need to get many other pieces of that game. Mitchell's obviously always a strong play, but and Gobert's fine. I just don't think I need to do that game as a 5 o'clock game, 8 o'clock Eastern.
If Anthony Simons plays, do you like him as a play?
Yes.
Okay.
And I also, by the way, don't think Dennis Smith Jr. is out of the question either. Still, I know it sounds crazy, but I really don't. All right. Yeah. Then let me see real quick. There was a couple other interesting questions that led me some. Any Mitchell Robinson? No, 0 Mitchell Robinson for me. Good for him. He had a great game last night. I don't know. I can't get involved in that situation with the minutes being split up like that, and there's just too many other good spots, and that's the first game on the slate. So
yes. What's his name? Did what's his name get in? Get run? Toppin?
Not as much as you'd think. Actually, oddly enough, that actually makes him probably like more viable. The fact that he didn't get run, but there's just no reason to do that on this slate.
Okay. No, I was just trying. I literally fell asleep. I missed like stuff last night. I just
yeah.
Let me see what it looks like on FanDuel. I'm gonna do the same thing on FanDuel and see what's different about FanDuel as far as who might be popular or who might get ownership over there. I'm just gonna be I'm just gonna run a like optimals over there and see what I have. Like, is there anybody like you identified as like being that much better value on FanDuel, for example?
Every spend up is easy to get to.
Okay.
Karis LeVert maybe.
Oh, LeVert, I forgot about him.
Cade Cunningham. I really like Cade Cunningham. He's the only one in the first game I plan on using. Really, like I mean that I'm that heavy. And I guess I am using Desanmu on DraftKings, but on FanDuel I'm just using.
Wow. Okay, so this is really interesting. So when I build say 50 lineups with no ownership fade or whatever it is on FanDuel, I'm getting over 90% of 4 guys. All right. You want to take a guess what those 4 are?
Harden.
Yeah.
Norman Powell. The other ones are tough. I'm guessing Claxton. I don't know who the 4th one is.
This is really weird. So I'm actually only getting like 25% of Powell. What I'm getting is the following. I'm getting 100% of Tart. I'm getting 100% of Jaren Jackson Jr.
He's really cheap over there. 6,300 is too cheap for him. And yeah.
I'm getting like 95% Kyle Lowry for some reason.
That makes sense. He's too cheap.
And then 95% Karis LeVert.
Yep. That all makes sense.
And that's no ownership or whatever. I'm just and that's why for example, like so when you see like let's say you play Jaren Jackson and you see that he's like 60% in like the 444 or something, you're like, whoa, what the hell?
No, I'm not surprised by that. His price is for what he's been doing, but he also has a bus path, so I'm very happy to fade that.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And this is
the guy could foul out in 10 minutes, like we've seen it before with him, But I mean, he probably has a good game tonight, probably a good play. I'm just kind of avoiding it myself. I really like the big, like you have great value at center over there. You've got Christian Wood at 8,200, who I really like as a run back in this little mini Brooklyn Houston stack I've got going. I really like the 7,500 price on Valanciunas, and I really like the 6,300 price on Nurkic.
Yeah.
That's what I would try to do. I'm going to try to address questions because I'm going to have to be out of here soon. I'm going to answer our old buddy Eric's question. Favorite game for stacking, Orlando, Sacramento. I do like getting some pieces of that game. I'm going more with Portland and Golden State and hoping the pieces fall in my place and that the game stays fairly close. It's a lot to ask for, but I'm happy to switch that over. I'll just switch it later. I'm just going to be ready to make my adjustments and my pivots if seeing what happens. I do like that Orlando Sacramento. I guess that would be a yes on that one. I just not my favorite. I think Houston and Brooklyn is a really good one. The Nets and Claxton, I answered that one already. We talked about it. I think that one of he or James Johnson will need the starting lineup before we can make our final decisions, and it's going to be hard to do so without having the starting lineup.
Couple of random guys for you. Derek Jones Jr.
Nope. Okay. Hold on. Let me see. Let me double check it. It's just the time of the game. No.
So by the way, we had a suspicion this was going to happen. Remember we were talking about Survivor, like the different things that could happen. As we suspected, the entire Chargers team is pretty much on COVID watch right now. Mike Williams is now in COVID reserve, like basically all the receivers.
That's what's going to happen. It's going to be all the receivers. So,
Yep.
boy, it's going to make it for a weird stack. Hopefully Guyton can play because he's.
I don't know, but that's the thing because Keenan Allen has the actual COVID, but the other guys, because they're receivers, they're on the close contact.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to answer another question from yes, Cole Anthony is a priority play for me. He's not there's no means a lock, but absolutely a priority play, especially if you're playing a lot of the later games. You can shift around and do whatever based on the information with that 2-hour gap. And maybe Cole Anthony doesn't look like such a good play when Paul George is out and all the Clippers look like amazing plays.
What do you think of we already talked about this. You like Cat still?
Very it just feels like what we don't really need to do that. I'd rather spend up for Harden. I'd rather spend up for look, you can spend up for Cat's fine. I think it's kind of an interesting play. I like him better on FanDuel, I believe. Let me double check. I know he's fine on both sides. I think Embiid's still an incredible. They have no way to match up with Embiid. I like Jokic. And you really can spend all the way up. And I like the Curry thing because I'm doing that game stacks. So I'd have Towns below those guys. I think he's a better play on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings.
That's that. I forgot to mention that's where I was interested actually.
Yeah. And I'm trying to look to see what else is standing out to me. Price. Brandon Ingram's price is great. Everybody's price is great on FanDuel. So it's going to take 500 points to win. It's going to take 1 million points to win. But pick the guys you like best, stick with them.
Not the sheet slate to turn a phrase.
Right. Exactly.
Not that I can't win.
But you can, and you can on DraftKings because some of these guys are going to fail and fail hard. On FanDuel, it doesn't matter because there's just too many other bodies that you can. Oh, you don't have to play Claxton. There's just too many good options.
Right.
So FanDuel will be a much higher. Obviously, it's going to be a much higher scoring slate on FanDuel than it is on DraftKings. Any Robert Covington, he's third down. Put Robert Covington in, but don't marry yourself to it. Give yourself some room. Give yourself some pivots because if the other guys are out, he will be a little bit less of a priority. Pretty low usage. I still like him at 3,300, but just use him as a temporary, like a holding point. That's what you have to treat the slate as, in my opinion. You could play Covington over Johnson. You could play Covington over Boucher. You could play Covington over Claxton. All these guys, these cheapos, they all have paths where they don't get there. And I would play Covington, but I would make sure I had other pieces of the later games where I'm playing him for the most part. You don't have to, but that's what I would do.
Yeah. So this Boucher thing, I'd like to see him starting, like you said. But you know what? We've seen this so many times that it doesn't. Yeah,
but it's a different story. The coach seems to hate him. I don't understand it.
Why does everybody hate him so much?
He doesn't necessarily translate to wins.
Okay.
I think that's the answer. The simplest way to put it. Like his advanced numbers are pretty bad.
Okay.
In terms of being on the court and things like that. But that's the reason why. He puts up great fantasy stats, so everybody thinks, oh, I can't believe Nick Nurse is a terrible coach and all this stuff. That's what they're saying on all the others.
I got another guy for you. I got another guy for you that you brought up before. What do you think of Eric Gordon?
I like Eric Gordon, and I like him in the game stack. You play Harden. You're playing Harden, right? So I'm playing Harden. So we want some Eric Gordon. Absolutely.
Yeah. Josh Hart's questionable?
Always.
Oh, okay.
No, he's been questionable every day, and he never plays.
He hasn't played yet?
Hasn't been playing much. I don't know if it's going to do much, though. I don't really know what you're really getting with that play anymore with the other value on this slate.
Dude, it's all good. I'm just Xing him out. It's not a big deal.
No. That's what I'm saying. That's what my feeling is. I'm just trying to think out loud when I say it. That's my take on it.
You mentioned something about Kevin Love earlier today.
No, I just said he was playing. I just think he's playing well. Like he's only playing 20 minutes, so you can't play him. I don't think.
Okay.
He keeps putting up 40 in no time, and I'm like, okay, well, too bad I didn't have him, but I'm not. Realistically, I was never going to have him.
And are you a PJ Tucker guy?
No. It's just that's a small slate thing for me. I'm trying to just backload these back games as much as I possibly can as we're going. I have to get out of here in 5 minutes because I do have quite a number of lineups out there today. I like these big slates, as you know.
Yep.
And I'm trying to see if I can maximize my profit potential here. But you can get different in so many ways in this. There's a million guys who are good plays who I'm not playing. So that's it. Backloading in your main lineup. Yes, I am on my main lineups. I'm mostly backloading, not entirely. I do have some of the. I have some Desunmu. I have some Hero. I have some Lowry, and then I am mostly 8 p.m. Eastern and after. Other than that, I'm seeing if I have anybody else that I'm forgetting about. And I just think that this slate is, we're gonna know in a few hours. You know what I mean? Like what's actually happening. Paul George being out is a massive deal.
Yeah.
We can't really, the late stuff in the other games is a big deal. The Portland, I mean, they have 4 questionables. If all those guys are out, even if they get smoked, they're gonna have to put up fantasy points.
Yeah, they're gonna have to be on the court, right?
Yeah. Is Sengun in play? Absolutely not, in my opinion. I just think there's so many other plays. I mean, sure, point per dollar wise, let's see where he's showing up. No, dude, we can't play guys who are playing 18 minutes a game. Like, there's no way we can do that. He gets there, great, good for him. Like, so pass it on. It's just you can't play guys like that on these slates, in my opinion. He's just fine, and he's no better than he ever normally is. Really, this is not like a good thing or anything for him. I would rather play Jashawn Tate. I'd rather play Eric Gordon and Armani Brooks. I would much rather play Brooks than Sengun at a cheaper price tag. Hassan Whiteside ruled out. A little bit of a boost to Gobert. If you think that game stays close, I think it probably does. So I would treat that like that. Not really huge relevant one right there.
So just again, I've asked you this a bunch of times, and I forget what you said. So if Bruce Brown is not starting, would you just not play him?
I wouldn't lean to play him. No, I would play Covington in the backloaded game. Backload the end and hope that things work out your way in the Portland Golden State thing, or you can get some cheap other stuff.
That makes sense.
Same thing. That's like I won't play any O'Shea Brissett. Not gonna play a guy playing 24 minutes. I understand. Fine. He's fine. He's 3K. Sure. If I'd rather play Cam Thomas.
You would, huh?
Yeah, I'm not playing. The one guy who's freaking me out, who I'm not playing at all. I don't have one share of Cody Martin, and he is popping off through all the projections. He's one of the chalkiest players in the slate. I am not doing it. I'm just not paying 5K for Cody Martin on this slate.
Right.
Just my personal strategy. Take it or leave it. Who's the high price guy you think fails tonight that's going to be chalky on DK? Well, there's not going to be that many high price guys. Oddly enough, even with all this stuff, they're not going to be that many high-priced guys who are all that chalky, like the really top-end guys. You really are going to have Harden eating up most of that ownership. So it's really only Harden, Donovan Mitchell are the only high-price. Like you're going to get a little bit of Luka, but very little, I think, if any. Embiid. I don't think any of these guys are bad plays, but none of them are going to be that owned. So I don't think you have to worry about ownership on the high-priced guys. All right. And I am going to jump, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm going to try and finish building my lineups. Good luck tonight, everybody.
Yeah, so I'm just going to hang out here. All I'm doing now, just so you guys know, I mean, again, if you want to hang out, if this is going to be of any interest to you, I'm just going to be updating my hockey projections and rebuilding my hockey lineup. So if you guys want to cut out, I don't blame you. But I'll tell you what I'll do. I will keep this open for questions if you come up with anything basketball or otherwise related. Well, I just have to do this. What I'll do is I'll check every couple of seconds to see if there's any questions. So I am pretty set with my basketball lineups. The only thing I am, again, I'll just talk for a little bit. The 2 real pieces that I am going to continue to wait on are, well, I got to monitor, are the Bruce Brown, whether he's starting or not, like Bobby was mentioning, and also the Chris Boucher, whether he is starting or not. Because I do plan on playing a good amount of Boucher if, in fact, he's starting. And I'm including a decent amount, I think, of Bruce Brown if he is starting. So those are things I have to consider. So again, I know there are people they're interested in the hockey, so I am going to just update that. Again, it's of literally no interest to you to watch me do this, but I guess I'll continue to talk through a couple of things as I do this. Maybe that'll be of some use to you. I do like Tyler Hero still. Even with all this other news and all this other stuff. I mean, the fact of the matter is that it's still, Bam and Butler out, and every once, sometimes he does put up kind of dud games, but at least he's always trying, and he has a lot of usage. And Bobby did make a really good point earlier that usually those are without Lowry. So you could argue that maybe he's not as smash of a play with Lowry playing, but I don't know. I just have this feeling that that Lowry in there doesn't really hurt him too much because he'll get he might get better looks with Lowry in the game, so that doesn't really bother me all that much. That what's his name? That Lowry's in there. I still think Hero's a really, really good play. Another guy who's showing up for me again. Again, these are plays that you lose track of because of all the other stuff that came. But I still do think that Dwayne Dedman remains a good play with what's his name out, with Bam out. I mean, he can get between 25 and 30 minutes depending on how, what kind of mood they're in. He had a really, really bad game in his last one. But, that's the way it works sometimes. I mean, he's still a big, and they like to put him out there. Okay. And the other guy that I really want to, I mean, I don't want to get zero of him is Giannis. Like I mentioned before, he, with all this Miami value out there, you are going to want to consider, probably some kind of stack, right? I mean, you play all these Miami guys if that's where you want to go, and you run it back with the Giannis. I think that makes sense. As a matter of fact, I've got even a little bit of Middleton hanging around, just lurking. All right, let me just finish this hockey thing. What is this? Yeah, let's do this. And we don't need that much of an update here. We'll give like a kind of a B+ update because it hasn't been that much, and it's a 4-game slate. You don't even know what that means, the B+ update as opposed to the A update, but that's fine. All right, so what I'll do is then I'll run this, and then we'll upload that to the site. Let me just see what I'm doing here. NHL. And if you're interested, I will let you know who I end up playing over there. Okay. NHL. And it's a 4-game slate, so, oops. Oh, I gotta close this first. Sorry. One second. Oh, I got plenty of time. 6:35. Oh, wait. Can't see. It's a weird thing about I still don't like that about Excel, where you can't open the same title. Whatever. It shouldn't it shouldn't just crash your entire program. It should just give you a warning of some kind. But that's okay. Do this again. Sorry about this. And then we'll come on for one more round of questions before I get out of here. Now I'll come back and I promise you by 6:40 I'll come back and get the last bit of questions. But I have to do this. Update the projections, and then update the lineups, and then I'll get going. Just to show you guys what I've done. Again, I just kind of enjoy this. So this is, I'll put it on the other page, sorry, the other monitor. All right, so this will be the new projection. So it looks as though I'll end up getting, it'll be a little bit of everything. But I guess New Jersey will be showing up, and then FanDuel, not quite as much, but that's okay. So now what we'll do is we'll update this to the site actually. And again, I'll show you how it's really just a, like I said, just a Google Sheet based approach. And I'm just replacing the old one with the new ones. Right. And then boom. And just for fun, just to not to confuse people, I will go on there. WP means WordPress. And I'll go on there and I'll just put like updated. This way, when you sometimes see it on the site which is updated, this is where it comes from. I'm actually just going to run right here. And then I'll put updated. And I guess I could show you actually the way I do my builds. I'm gonna use SaberSim tonight to do the hockey builds. I don't have time to really do more in-depth stuff for like for single entry, but I'll show you the way I do it. Just so you guys know, also I did put an MMA thing up there, whatever it is, for this weekend. Might be a little bit early, but that's okay. So I'm not playing on FanDuel tonight, the hockey. I'm just gonna show you the way I do it here. We're gonna update this here. This is my own file name. So this goalie doesn't have a projection, so I will reset this one to kind of the default. Probably didn't pick that one up, but that's okay. So I'm not going to do a full-on diversity lineup. I'll make it a little more projection based, a little less random. And then what I'll do, this is kind of the way I use SaberSim to tweak the hockeys. I just make sure that I have the right stack compositions. I mean, on the 4-game slate, you don't need to have 5-mans and stuff like that. I like to have 5-mans in big fields, with a lot of games. But I should have 4 3s. But let's just see what it does, and then I'll come back and get to some questions as well. Let me just see if there's anything out here. Hockey's done great. Yeah, I like all those Memphis guys. I like Desmond Bain. I like. Do I think Doncic plays? I do. But we'll see. Okay, so let's look at this stack ties. Yeah, good amount of 4 3s, 5 2s, and a couple of hoodoos. Looks good to me. So I'm not even going to question this. I'm going to pile this one in. We're just going to replace the old ones with the new ones. If Doncic doesn't play, we're going to have a problem. Well, we're just going to have to redo it. That's all. It's not a big deal. And let's edit the entries, edit the hockeys. Yeah, the good thing about hockey's fun. I either like take stuff down or I just almost don't cash at all. And it's funny, somebody was asking me like earlier in the season, like, oh, do you find that you're getting like too much chalk in hockey? I'm like, not really. For me, it's like the opposite. I mean, the way I kind of like tweak and do whatever, I end up with all kinds of crazy stuff that has no chance, but when it wins, I mean, it really, really kills. So I kind of enjoy the hockey process here. Okay, so that's hockey. Just in case anybody cares, I've got. Now you scared me with this Luka thing. Do I have to look into more of this? So Boston is my main deal over there. Pasternak, Bergeron. That's the main deal, but not so much the 4. I mean, they could be the 3, because they're very expensive. It's hard to get 4 of those guys. Anyway, do I have to worry about that with Luka? Let me just see what's going on with that Luka. Any Luka news here? Let's see. Still showing as questionable. They may elect to be cautious. 8 p.m., huh? So I got to come back and check this. All right. Well, so I'll come back and check this. Well, we have to see what's going on with the Chargers wide receivers. I want to see exactly who's in, who's out, who's whatever. I mean, they're in the protocol, so they're not ruled out, right? We'll have to see. And I don't, I'll leave that to Rhodey and Bobby to kind of work out, I'm not going to really be around. I might pop in, after I do projections and stuff like that. But all those guys are going to be cheap. The cheap, they have to play first. I don't know if any receivers are going to be playing. Who knows? Could be lineup Eckler at wide receiver. But all right, I guess that's about it. I'm going to get going. Have a great. Again, I'm out tomorrow. Have a great weekend, and good luck.